We do see trends, technological trends, but also social acceptance trends, which have brought the computer very, very close to humans. Close to the human body, onto the human body, already into the human body. This appears to be somewhat trivial. Is there another dimension of computers approaching humans in a confluential way?
I think it's a very clear way from a technological perspective that we see sort of a merger between human and technology. We have it, I think most of us have teeth at least sort of filled with something. If you get older, there's a high probability that you get a joint replaced by technology. It's very clear that those things at the moment are mechanical, they will be electromechanical, at some point they will be computing technologies. We see that sort of interfaces woven into the brain, interfaces like replacing a retina. That has been done, and it's very clear that those things happen. So there is no border between sort of human and computer. So that's sort of from a technical perspective, we will have the full spectrum from interacting with the keyboard, and the keyboards are still around, and they will be around for a while, all the way to sort of having fully immersed technology, having a chip in the cloud. And I think we will see over the next 50 years, this is sort of the spectrum will live. And I think this is sort of the boring question about the spectrum, because that's just going to be. The interesting question is sort of how do we sort of perceive ourselves in this sort of information space? How do we interact with that information? And even if it's implanted, how do we interact? How do we interact with information, not with computing? I think human, computer, whatever is the wrong thing, because it's not about computing, it's about information, it's about sort of human information, human interaction. And I think we see two big streams. One is sort of human to human, augmented by technology. So I think mobile telephony is only sort of a very small sort of preview of what is going to happen. So I have used in the talk the picture of sharing a one-bedroom flat with all your friends. You know all about everybody, and I think this is sort of one model that could be, but we have to decide whether or not we want to have it. But technically, that's what we come to. So the human-to-human augmented by technology. The other area is sort of human to whatever information is out there. And information at the moment is very small. If you look at Google, it's a few pages compared to what we will have in 20, 30, 40 years if basically all the information we get out of humans, all the information we get out of our planet, all the information we generate will be available to us. We have the richness of information, and it's not about sort of a human-computer thing, it's about how do humans get into the information, how do we tap into the information, how do we contribute information. And I'm not really sort of a very strong believer that this works via thoughts, because our limits in terms of information processing capabilities are very, very restricted. So if you take this very simple example, how quickly can you produce text? Most of us can't speak in a way you can write it at a speed of speaking. Most of us take longer to even write 500 words, which we technically can do with the devices we have at the moment. We can do in 20 minutes, but very few of us write in 20 minutes very meaningful 500 words. So I think this idea that we get closer because it's increased efficiency is going the wrong way. I think it's more sort of that we get into the implicit nature and basically building this sort of mix where we mix with information. I think the question whether this is a sensor which is attached to this feature, whether it's woven into my brain or it's in the environment is the wrong question.
You are one of the world-leading experts in designing human-computer interaction. Still there is these two terms, human and computer. But let me now come back.
Let me give you one point on this word, human-computer interaction. Brig Wilmer said in one of an editorial we wrote some years back, sort of there was this term, horseless carriage, before people called it car. And I think human-computer interaction may be sort of one of those words. So horseless carriage, basically the horse is not there, and I think what we see is that the computer is sort of it's everything about the information.
So people say there is also sort of a confluence of humans and computers, so there is no distinction of these two parts anymore. But let me come back to this entry-level point, namely computers on and in body. We do indeed see that computers have prosthetics or like a pacemaker is already intelligent electronics, which somehow
It's
control.
computing.
It's computing that is in our body. It's not just our limbs. It's not just the joints that are supported.
They are
But all
context
these,
aware, they're adaptive.
all the things that we see today, they serve a particular purpose. It is mostly the purpose of a repair of something the human body is no longer or has not been able to do. What can we go? What can we
Is it? I think we have seen a very interesting example of people who have replaced parts of their body which were stiff in order to run faster, and they are not competing with people which are able because they have an advantage.
This is what I wanted to ask you.
And I think it's very obvious that we use cars to increase our range of mobility, and it has changed the way we live. It has changed how cities look like. We have used computers in order to access knowledge we didn't have before. We have used systems to create different ways of life. We have used communication. So I think the idea that we don't improve our bodies is, I think, sort of one has to be very naive to believe in that, because we live in a competitive society and we have a lot of values. So the question is, if I improve my body in whatever way, and I can therefore serve a better purpose, I can have more time with my family if I do X. Will I do X? And I think it's not a trivial question which way I choose. Or sort of, if I have an implant which helps me to do something quicker, I'm more competitive with somebody else. So the business goes there or goes there. So I think the things like, we don't see the sort of things which are external to the body. I think in the near future, within the next 10 years, I would guess that we see memory devices people carry. And I think those memory devices, people will argue like the sense can, or this is a threat to privacy, but the moment one society decides it allows memory devices, it will improve its productivity. And the moment one society does it, everybody else. And so I think the only thing we really have as a guiding principle is sort of what the world as a whole. And I think this is a nice, interesting challenge, which I'm really sort of looking forward over the next 20, 50 years what's going to happen. We look at sort of the world has to be on what the borders are. Because if somebody chooses to build a nuclear weapon, everybody else has to. And we have seen this. And nuclear weapons are not the only ones, it's a lot. And the moment we increase productivity of individuals, and that's what computers do in the end, you as a society can decide, yes, we don't do this, and then sort of after 100 years we live in sort of a medieval time compared to what the others do. We want to have this, and typically societies don't. We have a few societies, if you go to Lancaster in the US, people live there sort of 200 years back. But for the majority of people, this is not an option. It's not an acceptable way of living. So I think we will see this split of society, so we will have more of these societies which will stay at a certain level to be able to create. The majority of the society, I would predict, is going forward with the technology. And I think we need to understand that this is a mix of values and a mix of ethics to get together. And I think we should do this in a very positive way for the humans. We have to create a humane society, but at the moment we consider putting somebody who joined in humane action to join this program. We don't consider this as creating a problem. I think this is sort of one of the big goals we have to follow.